what that is? Discipline. Selfish.
No joke. We're legitimate.
Let's fucking do this. Then do it. Do it 100%, because I'm trying to.
We recognize that we are limitless.
You gotta be a champion to become a champion, right? Winning is a habit because we create habits that lead to good execution and success.
Welcome, everyone. This is episode 62 of The Coach's Show. I'm Coach Mike Bianco of San Diego Dynasty, and with me, as always, is my friend and coach of Red Legion, Ryan Gray. I'm going to throw it out there again. Ryan and I are looking for videographers that can help us with the new introduction, right? We got to do that soon. Okay, tonight, our special guest is Chris Pops Robbins, new head coach of the reformed NRG Elite. We'll discuss Chris's coaching history and how he plans to take NRG to the top of the Major League Paintball professional division. This episode is brought to you by Max Sportswear. If you're playing the NXL or a regional league, please contact Charles today for contingency details. Trust us, it will be well worth your time to reach out. Remember, for all your custom paintball goods and now some contingencies, get maxed. And BKI, the best knowledge in paintball. If you want to elevate your game, join BKI. New platform and content is on the way. Use code COACHSHOW to let them know you heard it right here. If you're a manufacturer, a brand manager, store, or field owner, and would like to support the show, we'd like to support you. We have a new pricing structure for 2025 and are eager to discuss how we can partner with you and help you meet some of your advertising needs. Please contact Ryan through our social media channels or Ryan at thecoachesshow.live. BKI, where you can quite literally learn from the best one-on-one. Now, I want to take a quick moment, Ryan. I'm going off script. I want to take a quick moment to send a shout out to my boys on Dynasty. We had a great weekend of practice. We not only spent the weekend practicing against Aftermath, thank you, Wayne and crew, out at ASG in San Diego, but we got the families together for a little R&R as well. Great team building. Just wanted to brag on my guys and thank them very much for an amazing weekend. My wife, Jennifer, thanks you as well. So, Ryan, before we bring in Chris, been a few changes that have taken place since our last episode, one or two of which I feel we might have had a little, I'd say, influence on. Can we perhaps discuss those real quick? You know, some of the changes that have been made from our previous episodes?
Yeah, absolutely. And hey, kind of before we do that, I want to piggyback on what you said about looking for a new videographer. I literally added that note. I told you right before the show. I told Mike, hey, I've added a couple things. One of the things I added is if you're a videographer, you're interested in helping us make a new intro video. I'd love to have an intro and an outro video. So if you're interested, please reach out to us on social media, or again, you can send me an email at ryan@thecoachesshow.live. We'll pay you to do it. We need up-to-date content, which means you're going to have to come video a little bit in the pits with Dynasty and Red Legion, which should also be a great experience. Nonetheless, please help us make a new video. We love that one, but man, it's old.
Yeah.
So help, please. So a couple of changes. And again, we keep telling you, your voice is important. And if there is something that the league is doing that you feel like could be different or should be better, or that you have a different way of going about it, and it's not just you, it needs to be a large audience. So if there's several of you having a discussion about things that, hey, maybe this should be changed, and it's important for, again, not just because you emotionally want it to change, but because it's good for paintball, you've got to band together, send emails to Tom, Jason, and the rule makers, right? So one of the most important things that has changed is the youth rule. It has now been changed. So if you are inclusive as of January 1st, meaning you are 15 years old on January 1st, you are eligible for the youth division for the entire season. So that is a great change. Previously, if you were 15 at the beginning of the year, turned 16 before World Cup, you couldn't play World Cup. They've got that fixed now. So that's a great change. It's awesome for paintball. We have a fantastic problem we keep talking about with the youth division and the number of kids wanting to play that. So that is a huge, huge thing. Love the announcement on PTG regarding the Sunday NXL Pro halftime. Yes. I didn't want to bring that up yet just because I've not heard that was for sure. If it is, that is fantastic. That is great news. So there'll be a halftime now during the NXL Pro game, final match. There'll be kind of a halftime now where the commentators can sell kind of what's happening, right? They can tell the story a little better. So I didn't know that had happened for sure. I haven't talked to Jason since they did the testers, but that's a fantastic change. One of the other things for coaches, this is something that AJ Molinari from Houston brought up to me kind of midway through last season, and Mike and I were able to grab Tom while we were in Paris because we got to be there as fans and didn't have a lot of responsibility at that event. One of the things that AJ mentioned that I thought was really thoughtful is for divisional teams, when you're looking for a coach, it's hard to know if the person who's saying, hey, I want to be your coach, has any experience whatsoever. So now if you'll notice on APPA, when you register your team, you get to designate who that person is who's going to be your coach. That person will then have a record of every team they've coached in their placing. So not right away, but in a few years from now, that'll be really important for the younger teams to be able to know that the coach that you're getting is seasoned or not. So now that's on there. So on APPA, they've made that change. So thank you to Tom Cole and everybody who helped to make that happen because it's a big deal. And again, AJ Molinari's idea, I just got to carry the water on that deal. So really good changes.
Great changes.
Yeah, positive. All right, I'm excited about our guest tonight, right? So we have a newly formed NRG, right? So we go NRG, who then sells their spot to Blast Camp, who, by the way, is also gone, sells their spot to Blast Camp, and then buys a spot from the Brooklyn Bears and is now NRG Elite again. Mm-hmm. So we are going to dig in with Pops. So Chris Robbins, their head coach, find out kind of what the plan is for the season, his methodology and mindset. And I don't know if a lot of you guys know Pops, but we got to meet him a little bit in the green room. He's a very intelligent guy, so should be a fun conversation.
Yo, Coach's Show. Let's go.
Welcome, Chris.
All right, good to see you guys.
All right, we got to start off with it. Let's get this out of the way real quick. How did you end up with the name Pops?
A kid at like our local field, which was CSP over in Chesapeake, the field that Bobby Weeks owns. A younger guy, and I showed up every weekend with my son, and he just turned around one day, and because he got used to seeing me, and he was a pretty cool kid, and he just said, "Yo, what's up, Pops?" Right, and somehow it stuck, and it stuck pretty hard because it's been there for quite a while now. So that's how that got started.
Nice. Well, that kind of segues us into it. Let's just jump right in there. I'm really excited about this episode because there's been so many changes in amongst teams with Leverage, Royal City Sea Dogs, Blast Camp going away, all these different things that are happening here. NRG Elite is one of those stories. So we wanted to kind of dig in with you and understand, give us a little understanding of how all this happens. But before we do that, why don't you give us a brief overview of your coaching history?
My coaching history? All right. Well, I guess that started in 2018. I knew Alan probably since 2014, I guess.
Alan
You know,
Buffton.
Alan Buffton, yes. You know, we had our own team called Pop's Crew, so you know we played against all the NRG Elite Alpha lines, you know, D5, D4, you know, so on and so forth, and so we became friends. You know, you're out there every weekend and talking, and anyway, my son wanted to take a break from the sport, so we did, and I got a call, you know, one day out of the blue from Alan, and you know, he was like, "Pops, I want you to come over and help the D3, you know, NRG team." And so I'm like, you know, I figured I'd go over and give it a shot, but I had no coaching experience at all. I mean, all I did was pay for kids' entry fees, buy paint, right, cover all that good stuff, and watch them. You know, I didn't do any coaching, never drew a play up before in my life. So, you know, I hung around for like 3 events. And then finally, the 4th event that year, they cut me loose to coach NRG Alpha on my own. And we went 4-0 into prelims. Ended up finishing 3rd that year in Chicago. So for a first event, that was pretty cool. That was exciting.
So with
And that was a semi-pro.
No, this was D3 in 2018. Yeah.
Okay.
So with no experience being asked to coach a D3 team and then obviously another D3 team, what process did you bring to the table? What were you looking for? What did you do to help that team meet that goal?
Simplify the situation. You know, I think in any division, you know, you put players in position to make a play, put them where they're comfortable. You know, if you've got a good front Dorito player and that's where he plays the best and he likes playing, you know, put him there. Don't put him at the home next play or send him snake off break another play, because if he's not comfortable, you know, you're just setting him up for failure, right? So simplify it. You put guys where they can play. And it didn't matter to me if the other team knew, hey, here comes these 5 guys, you know, there's your standard home player, your snake player, your whatever. Because if we execute the play as good as we can, it really doesn't matter if you know, I'll give you the play. You know what I mean? Because if we run it right, it doesn't matter. So we made it easy. And everything was done together. You know, we would draw plays up together with names on the sheet. This is what we're doing. Play 1, play 2, play 3, practice it and roll with it. So it became so repetitive. You know, there were really no questions asked, you know, come tournament time, because everyone knew what they were going to do. Just made it easier.
Joey Blue would say aces in their places.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Put
good.
the aces in their places.
Yeah. I mean, you know, there's only a handful of players, you know, in the league that can play every position, right? You know, I mean, not every team's going to have a Ryan Greenspan who can play the center, play the back, play Doritos, go in the snake. So my thing is, if you want to learn multiple positions on the field, practice them on the non-mandatory practices, right? You know, and then I can work that in when we do have a big practice to see how you're doing. But you got to be really good at it for me to take you from your one spot to another.
So you believe that on off layout weekends we cross train, but when it's tournament time, we're specialists.
Yeah, when those guys are on their own time and they, you know, want to practice something, sure. But, you know, until they're really good at it, I'm not hardly looking at it.
Yeah.
It's too hard to win in this league anyway.
Yeah.
You know,
We'll kind of get
come
into
on, God,
we'll talk about that.
That's what
we're
keeps
going to
us
get
coming
into
back.
that.
That's what keeps you coming back. It's the worst drug ever, you know. We got to win one. We got to win one.
I think
I've
it's the
gone
best
away.
drug, it's the best drug, not the worst.
Right.
By far. Yeah. Chris, I've gone away 3 times and have been drugged
man,
back. So,
really get back.
yeah.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
can't
Went
leave.
away in
Take a
2008
break.
and then got drugged back. Went away in 2013 and then again. And I really tried to go away in 2006 and got drugged right back in. So
you just take breaks, man. That's all. Because it wears you down. They're long seasons. You know, you got 2 months off and then 10 months of grinding pretty much, you know.
Well, as a head coach, really you get no time off, right? Like as soon as we get into the off season now, you got to have your names on your board that you're ready to go after and kind of have all that sort of locked in before the season. It really is done, right? Like you're right after the 4th event, you better have your board done, you know, who you're wanting to go after.
And I simplified that for myself. I told Alan, I said, look, you get some players, and when they show up at practice, I'll figure out what to do with them.
Yeah. And you're in a great situation where you have a fantastic owner. Like Alan is, I've had a few experiences with him through different times over the last few years. And he is not only is he a great man, but from my perspective, he's great for paintball. He's a good owner. He's honest, like all the things you want from a really good owner. He's all of those things. So you're in a great situation.
Yeah, that guy, Alan, I mean, he's made it possible for tons of kids to play the sport, you know, to play at a high level, to play, you know, NXL events where they never would have been able to if it wasn't for him. I mean, practices, you know, show up. He just always covered everything and just a super good guy.
So how did you reconnect with NRG? So you coached in 2018 for a D3 team. You go away for a little while and now you come back, reconnected.
I mean, that is kind of funny. I mean, you leave D3 after the 2018 season and come back 2023 for Chicago, the 4th event. I think it came from me blowing his cell phone up at the events when I'm home watching, you know, and because I wouldn't text, you know, you don't text guys when at paintball weekend, right? Because we're busy. Even though you might have a 1 o'clock match and a 3 o'clock match, you're busy from the time you get up till the time you go to sleep. It's all day long, right? So, but then, you know, I'm watching NRG play. You know, I'm rooting for him, and I didn't like what I was seeing. I didn't like who was starting. I didn't like who was on the bench. So I'm like, you know, Alan, man, what the hell are y'all doing? You know, and I guess he got tired of it enough, and he texted me back like one evening. He's like, hey man, you want to coach this team? I'm like, yeah, we'll coach them. Let's go. It's pretty much that simple.
Okay. So that was 2000.
That was
2013, right? And then the team
23.
Yeah. Sorry, 2023. So then at the end of 2023, NRG Elite is gone, right? So Alan sells the spot,
right?
Takes a few players and goes over to play with the Bears. And so now you're kind of out for the year. And then we get this off season, which again has been just incredibly chaotic from all levels. And Alan buys the Bears spot, so he sells his spot to Blast Camp, who then turns around and sells the spot to Sea Dogs.
Yeah, but it makes for a great off season. I love it. You know,
sure, it's just incredibly chaotic, right?
It's great.
Not great if you're.
Uh-oh.
I lost it.
Yeah, Ryan's locked up. Stand by, ladies and gentlemen. He'll be back in a moment. He always is. But I think what Ryan's getting at then is, okay, so now NRG, so Alan gets the team spot back. So I think what he was talking about is, you know, can you talk to us? What was the reason for the return of NRG and the Bears disillusion, right?
Right.
What caused that?
Right. And I was there last year.
Mm-hmm.
There you
So
go.
you were there he is. So you were there last season.
Yes, I was there for the first
With the
two
Bears.
events.
So you were there with the Bears. Okay.
Yeah, and that was a good team. I mean, it had a lot of good players. I mean, we all got along good. We had a good time. We were rolling along pretty good. As far as coaching though, that was kind of myself, Pat, and Scott, right? Because Pat and Scott were the original Bears coaches.
Mm-hmm.
So then when Alan NRG merged with them, I came along with him, and we tried to do it together. That it's hard to have three coaches kind of merging together with ideas and how we're going to do it. So that was a little sketchy. So by the third event, Atlantic City, Magic put me in charge of coaching solo, and the guys still helped with, scouting and what's going on. And we had a pretty good run. I think we went 3-1 in Atlantic City. I think we would win by 1 and we would lose by 1. And then we lost, I think, Sunday morning to Infamous by a couple. But I mean, for us, that was a pretty good showing. I mean, we were steadily moving up, right? We were getting better, each event. And then that's when Magic actually let me go and brought in Hinman.
Okay.
For that Chicago event, which didn't go well, right?
No.
Which was bad because I was pissed. If you get cut, right? Which I understood it on paper, it looked like the right move, but man, you're mid-season. I think you leave it alone and you roll with it, But nevertheless, that didn't go well, and it was bad because I was hoping they would lose, right? Because I was kind of hating on it. I mean, I'll just be honest with you.
No, I'm glad you're being honest. That's the only way to be on this show.
Hey, you call Pops and you let him go. I'm kind of like, all right, So, me and my kids and all, we're sitting there watching the event, and they lose the first one, they lose the second one, and I'm like, good. But honestly, I loved all those guys so much, I mean, the NRG guys, all the Bears guys, I really did. We got along so good. We had a lot of fun. As the Saturday match rolls in, I'm like, all right, fellas, you got to bring this back, man. Go 2-2, maybe get some margin and sneak it in, right? And it didn't happen. So that deal went away.
Yeah, that was a 20th place finish, I believe, at that event.
It was.
We went 0-4.
Yeah, because look, man, I'm telling you, we would have finished at minimum 10th. Maybe could have snuck in a 9th, right? Because we were 10th or 11th going into that event. I mean, we had a couple 2-2s. Well, we made 2 Sundays out of 3 events with 2 2-2s, a 3-1. So I think we were right around the 11th, place. But anyway, that is what it is. But Magic did call me, I think, the Monday morning after that event. Do you guys know Magic?
Yeah.
Mr. Mike? Yep.
Yeah. So I answered the phone and you hear him, hey, yo, Pops, this is Magic, with that New York, that real Brooklyn-y accent. And we talked for a minute and he said he wanted me to come back for World Cup. So I was, absolutely sure. Let's go do it again. Didn't do too good. I think we were 2-2.
2-2.
Yeah, not great, but anyway. So then the off season rolls around, and I think maybe Magic has a lot going on too. He's a big business guy, super busy, big family, and I think he was probably just ready to take a break. So, Alan ended up just taking over the spot and then just going back, to the NRG name.
Okay. All right. A lot more happening there. A lot more pieces moving than I thought originally. So,
Right.
yeah. Ryan, do we want to get into the roster of NRG here? This is something I'm very interested in talking to you about, Chris. Is I want to talk about the new NRG roster.
We got a great roster. We got a bunch of dogs. We're going to get it. We got speed. We got it all, man. We're ready.
I love it.
So why don't you give us the roster? Go down the list and give us the names.
All right. So we got Ethan Adams, Jonathan Adkins. We picked up Matt Askren. Still have, AJ and Austin Buffton, Danny, Del Senor, Evan Manners, Justin Politi, Brandon Portman, Damian Vasquez, and Christian Woodmans. We've got a lot of good players, and I pretty much already knew the majority of them. I'm just really getting to know, Matt Askren, Justin Politi, Brandon, Porter. The rest of them I kind of already knew. So this transition's pretty simple for me.
Yeah. So Matt Askren, Justin Politi, former Columbus level players.
Yeah. Okay. Good players, good guys. But I didn't know anything about them, never really seen them play before. But after, a handful of these practices now, especially the one we had last weekend, weekend before last, Matt's really coming around good. He blends in really quick. He's a smart player, super cool guy. That speaks when he needs to. He understands the game well. A guy like him really helps me, right?
Okay.
Guys like that, once you learn who you can trust, it makes it a lot easier.
So there were only two names that you mentioned from the 2023 roster to what you're now working with coming into 2025. What kind of things are you doing to try to create some chemistry and team bonding and those kind of things outside of just the paintball stuff?
Well, most of those guys already knew each other, right?
Yep.
And we've been practicing right much, but a lot of those guys they're spread out. So it's not much you can do in between, other than your group messages and that kind of stuff. But I mean, this early on, because I've done this kind of 3 times now, and it's coming together faster than last year. And last year was easy. With the Bears, that was pretty easy. That wasn't hard to figure out. This year's even more easy. It's just good when all these guys are in the pits. They're getting along good. They're talking, communicating, figuring it out. It's going well. I'm excited.
Well, I'd imagine that the chemistry probably is there. You've got people on this roster who are experienced, who recognize the fact what the grind requires, right? I mean, right. Ethan Adams, Evan Manners, I know personally. You add the Columbus level people into there, Damian Vasquez, or as you said, Vasquez.
Yeah.
I'd imagine these people recognize that, hey, these are the things, and they all came from different camps. They've all been part of different camps. And so I'd imagine there's a lot of maybe amalgamation happening there in creating some chemistry.
And when you bring in like Matt and Justin, you're bringing in a pair. So at least those two guys already know each other. So that gives you something to start with, already right out the gate. And when players recognize other players on the team are pretty solid, playing pretty good, that makes it easier too.
Yeah.
So has anyone stepped out from the roster? Has anyone stepped up into like a leadership role?
Yeah, that would be Danny. Danny's our captain. He's the captain, and he's doing a good job. He's kind of
so
the guy.
Did you name him captain, or was that a team thing?
That was a team thing.
Cool.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so you named 11 guys, right?
Mhm.
So it's a big roster. Is
It
the
is.
expectation to try to play? Are you going to try to run 2 lines?
Well, I've always wanted to run. I've always wanted to run 2 lines. It's hard to run. This would be the group that could do it because it's so much of a mix with fast players, good back players. But no, I don't know if you'll see 2 lines all the time. That's because we're just getting started. So, you need one event to see how things are going. But I do want to incorporate that in our program.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, so, all right. So you want to run 2 lines. You've got 11 players. You said you needed an event. Is there potential cuts after the first event? Streamlining the roster? No, going to run.
No,
with
I mean, right now I don't have one guy that I want to let go. I didn't know.
Okay.
I mean, in a perfect world, give me 7 that stay healthy all year and can play the whole event. That's way easier, right? But I mean, these are 11 solid players. And you guys know how it is. It's hard to get everybody spins all the time, right?
Sure. Yeah, and that's what I was going to kind of shift Mike's question a little bit.
Right.
So if you have 11 guys, and I think it's like not necessarily is the idea after the first event to cut someone as much as are you using that first event kind of as a litmus test to confirm kind of what your feelings are right now, and then it's possible that after the first event there could be potential cuts, or is your idea to hold on to 11 guys kind of committed for the season to these 11 players and kind of see where it goes?
Yeah, I mean, my plan is to keep all 11, but not knowing the tournament feel with some of the players, you'll find out after the end of the first event if somebody stays that didn't get any playing time, or if you got mad. Forget this. I'm going somewhere where I can get more spins. Right? That's just kind of how it goes. So you do find out at the end of that first event who's really buying into the system, wants to be part of the program, and wants to help you win. And a lot of guys don't always understand. Look, you got a hot hand, man. You roll with it. It's hard to come off of that hot hand. Maybe only one guy needs a spin. Maybe the other 4 can play all 5 points or whatever. The match allows you to play. But it still takes all those guys to get you to that event, right? You couldn't do it without them. So, but it is difficult. But I mean, look, anybody playing paintball knows that every roster has some guys on it that aren't going to play.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily because they're not good enough to play, but maybe it's the coach's fault, right? Maybe that coach gets so stuck on 7 guys. Maybe the coach isn't open-minded enough to, hey, look, we're up 3-0, right? Or we're up 2-0. I want to slow things down, get this guy out, get this guy in, so, part of that's on me. But it is hard to adjust when things are going good. Damn, what are you going to change it for? We're winning. So if you're in that pit and we're winning and you're not happy, well, it might not be the pit for you. I don't know. But I don't want anybody to go because I like all these guys. We're having fun. So hopefully they can learn me like I'm going to learn them this year, and we can work it out, but it takes a few events to do this,
So the average number of points per match is around 7, right? So it's like 7.13 points per match. So if you take the number of points available to play and multiply it by 5, you have about 36 opportunities to play 11 players, right? So which is about 3 spins per player. That's if nobody was doing turns, right? You don't have one player who's staying on the field the whole time, right? And so if you take that over the whole weekend, and you don't make the cut, you're talking about 12 points, right?
Mhm.
So with a roster of 11, if you played everybody equally, each player would get to play somewhere around 12 points. Well, we're all realistic and we understand how this works. That's not going to happen, right?
No, and it's not D4 and everybody chipped in $100, you know?
Right.
I'm
For
just
sure.
saying. I'm just saying.
No,
You know?
I understand.
Yeah.
For sure. Again, like it makes it tough for you, right? Like what gets tough as a coach with 11 guys is then because you, in my opinion, sometimes it's a distraction, right? Because you're every now and again, you're looking up and kind of looking around the pit. And you can see that one player who's not played maybe for 2 matches and they got a weird look on their face or something. And it subconsciously, because we do care about our guys, right? Like that's one of the big things.
Sure.
I care about the guys. I want them to feel good. I want them to understand what we're doing. But I have found myself, like, I'll look up and look at eyes every now and again. And then if I see the pouty ones, and even if they're not doing it on purpose, right, they're just, you can see it on their face. I notice like it's taken me away for a moment. Does that make sense?
Oh no, I know.
And then yeah. And then like to refocus sometimes it's not hard, but it just like, it may take me 10 seconds to kind of get my shit back together. And 10 seconds of a 45-second break is, it's a lot of time.
Eternity.
So
yeah.
No, it's a lot of time.
I get it because I'm a player's coach, right?
Yeah.
I'm not a hard-nosed, yelling, screaming at you. I mean, you got a pit full of grown men. They all know how to play. It's kind of past that, in my opinion. So,
sure.
but being that style of coach, and you get the tight bond with the players, you do want them all to play. But it's still difficult, and that's something I need to learn, but that takes time.
Well, Chris, are you having those difficult conversations at the end of practice of the layout weekend, or you're having them right before the event? Or are you having them at the event? I mean, how do you?
No, we're having them now, so they'll have to watch the show. Right.
I think that's good. Like, yeah. I mean, at some point you may have you want to address it, right? Like that, hey, we're going to an event where, our goal is X, Y, Z, right? In order for us to achieve these goals, more than likely the roster will narrow, right? And we have 11 guys, but more than likely like 7 are going to play or 6 are going to play as we get deeper. And
right. And that talk will come this weekend. We've all got a mandatory practice, and we're all there. We're there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So, that we'll do the talking then for sure. But like I said, this group is good. They're all open-minded. I really don't see us having any issues there at all.
It's also important when you manage those expectations, at least from my perspective, and I may be different than most coaches, probably, but I like to manage those expectations early on. If I have a roster of 11, I know I'm running 7. I'm giving those other 4 2 roles, right? You're going to be a good teammate, and here's how you're going to be a good teammate by helping us accomplish these goals here.
Right.
So now everyone sits there and says, yeah, it's great, coach. You're telling them, oh, you're still part of the team, blah, blah. They're still not playing paintball. Yeah, well, then that rolls back to that famous topic that Ryan and I beat to death every episode, and that's culture, right? So what kind of teammate are you going to be? Right? Are you really genuinely down for the crew, down for the program, or is it about you as an individual? Because if it's about you as an individual and you've defined this culture of being a team culture, that's kind of like water and oil.
Yeah, and look, by the time you reach the pro level, you've already played a lot of paintball, right? So if you're on a roster with 11, you know what can or what may or may not happen. If you've been playing paintball 15 years, big rosters, it is hard, but we can, I think we can make it happen. It'll be good.
So let's talk, you brought up, we have mandatory practice this weekend. Let's kind of jump forward into the 2025 season, right? So we've gotten some of your history. We've talked a little bit about culture. We've talked a little bit about methodology and the type of coach you are. And somebody in the chat, Jeff Knapp, said, Grown men do need to be yelled at every now and again, though. And I kind of agree with that. Like every now and again, I will yell, especially if I've told them something 3-4 times and they make the same mistake again. I yell. I apologize a lot of times later, but I do yell. It gets me into trouble from time to time because my message is good. The delivery sometimes is not very good.
Right.
But let's kind of jump into the
It'll be better.
Totally. So let's jump into the 2025 season. So you guys, so the layout dropping soon. You guys have practice this weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You said, where are you guys going?
NR Paintball. It's in Severn, Maryland.
Yep. Who are we practicing?
I don't even remember who we're practicing. If you want to know the truth,
Okay.
I don't want to say who we're practicing yet.
Details.
Yeah,
That was
keep
silly
that one
thing.
on the down low. Yeah, this is actually the field that Jonathan Adkins owns. It's a great field. You guys been there before?
I have. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, it's nice. It's set up well.
Oh, I was just,
What was going on?
cameras backwards. So I was like, he has. But I was doing it, I was like, he has. And I went, wait, no, he's not on my, because you switched and you came off.
Oh, right.
So,
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. That was really weird. So, don't know who we're practicing. That's okay, I guess. you probably want to figure that out soon. So when leading into kind of the layout weekend, what is your process? Like, so the layout comes out Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
What is your day? So when that layout drops, what does your process look like from the day it drops till you show up to practice?
So I'll be there. Have pretty much everybody there Thursday, early in the morning, and we will walk the field, see what's going on. And we'll do a lot of drills on Thursday. We'll pretty much drill all day long. And I kind of let the guys, I have a few things I look for, and then there's certain things they look for. We get midway through some drills, we'll kind of get together. Hey, this is looking good, or this is whatever. Friday rolls around, we'll get into running some points. And I like to let them run 4 or 5 points, kind of how they want to. Mm-hmm. And I'll go up top and watch and see what's going on. Because then I can piece it together better, by watching them play. After 5 points or so, that's when I start maybe going with my pairs. Maybe I like this. I want to see this 1 and 2 on the D side, this guy at home, whoever on the snake or whatever. And I'll kind of focus on those pairs for a little bit, and then start mixing it up. It's basic. That's your Thursday and Friday. When we get into Saturday, we'll start running matches. And I mean, we might do 8-minute matches, something like that. But I mean, we'll play those just like we're at the event. Hey, we're up 2-0. What do we want to do? Do we want to try to put another point on them? Do we want to hold? Mix the lines up the exact same way, because it really helps. Get that same feel. It's not the same feel as being at the event, but it helps. And it helps with your coaching too, because, is the score 2-2, with 45 seconds left? Do we need the win? Do we need that for a margin? Or can we burn the clock and get a 5-minute overtime? You know what I mean? So that gets the coaches' heads rolling in that
coaches
rhythm
need
as well.
too.
Oh man, a lot of practice. If you're just running points, you're not figuring anything out. Because then the event
Mike and I
rolls
talk
around.
about that.
Oh yeah,
all the time.
So
that's our opportunity, one, to practice, and two, to put them in situations where they can begin to understand the moments more often.
Mm-hmm.
If you're just playing points and you never get into situationals, you're practicing to win the first point. That's it.
Yeah.
The first point. That's all you're doing.
Right.
Yeah.
And which I'm like, hey, look, if we win every match, I don't give a damn about the margin. I just win every match. But when you practice that way, then you're not caught off guard, at the event. Right. So that's what I like.
I don't want to glaze over something you said, because it caught my attention. And you're like, on Thursday we're doing drills and everything. And and they're looking for things and I'm looking for things.
Mm-hmm.
What are the things that you are looking for on Thursday that will affect what you start looking at on Friday when you're running points?
Well, I look for defense first, right? You're looking at a layout, you're getting an idea where teams are going to attack from. So, I want to find a bunker, find a lane to, hey, what can stop that Dorito guy from getting past the 3 or whatever, because maybe you can give him the 3, he can take that all day long, but if he doesn't get past it, right, he can't hurt us or whatever. So I look for those things first, and with that, if I know I got a good guy on that, and I've got a player who can still make it past it 85% of the time, then I'm kind of like, hey, I'm kind of liking this guy as the one on this layout. My other guy who normally might be the one, he's only crossing that line 50% of the time, right? So those are kind of little breakdowns that I'm doing, and then as they're running the points, figuring out who you like and so on and so forth.
So you have a tracking method of the 11 players that you're tracking who.
Yeah, it's not a big fancy sheet like some of them I've seen, but it, we all have our own little method of madness to see what's going on.
I got to stop you for a second just because Gary Noblet is in our chat, and I just wanted to make sure he knows, like, he is my favorite player growing up, and he may not know that, but he's literally my favorite player.
When I saw Gary Noblet, I was like, is that the Gary Noblet?
It is. Yeah.
Outstanding. Welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome. Now,
anyway, apologize. I had to fanboy out for a second. That
doesn't
happen
cool.
to me very often, but
that's awesome. Yeah.
All right. So you look at defense first. Basically, you're looking at zone control, it sounds like.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then from zone control, so you're looking at that on Thursday. And on Friday, now you're looking at, you're just tracking player capabilities, because you did mention that Friday you kind of let them do their own thing. Well, and then you add looking at pairs.
Yeah, I mean, I always let them run their own points first, because look, if you got some skilled players, they learn quickly. If he's a front player, he's a back player, they already know what they want to do when they're looking at that layout, right? So let them go run it. And then you can fine tune them as they go. Like, hey, man, you're trying to get a little too greedy or whatever. But, then you take their input, is how far they can go, what they're liking off the break, what's safe, what's kind of risky, and then that's when, we start throwing these plays together on paper and, and start running those points and see if it's getting better or if it's getting worse.
But a lot of those things you're finding out in the drill process too, right? Like you're on your Thursday drills, like you're probably doing some off the break shooting and finding red lines and those kind of things. So you know a little bit of that stuff before you kind of get in to your pairs search and
but the guns always get a little more dialed in on Friday, when guys are flying in and they're getting there at 2:00 in the morning Thursday, or they're getting there at 8:00 in the morning Thursday, they're jet lagged. It takes, they're out there playing, but it takes a day to shake all that off. And then by Friday, everybody's playing better. They're shooting better. They're well rested, and that's how that goes.
Yeah. So then Saturday's matches is the entire day matches where you're just creating scenario and just.
Yeah. Well, sometimes maybe the first half of Saturday, depending on who we're practicing, we might just run some points, but Saturday afternoon, we're getting into matches.
Makes sense.
And then Sunday's kind of all matches, because that's your Sunday paintball, right? That's where I'm really the Sunday practice. I'm getting that roster dialed in. I'm trying to run there when I'm going to run that following Friday.
Yeah.
Because I want a lot of reps and a lot of practice with who I think's going to start.
Yeah. Do you
That
ever
way they
look
know
at
what
those
they're doing.
matches? Do you ever look at those early matches and then sit there and say, okay, I'm recognizing certain things here. I now want to create a drill that's specifically to that scenario I'm seeing a lot of based off this layout. Do you ever do that in the afternoon on a Saturday? And then and then Sunday is that polishing of the playbook, right?
Yeah, a little bit. But I mean, not totally. Is that what you do, like late Saturday?
Sometimes it depends.
Mhm.
It really does. I've got a new team now that
Right.
is pretty, like you said, you've got certain players that can get out there and look at certain things and basically scale things down pretty quickly, right?
Mhm.
So had a great practice this week, and we're talking about at the beginning of the show. There's a great interaction between me and the team, and I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, so no, that process is still amalgamous for me right now, but that's something that I used to do. Yes.
Right. Yeah, I think it depends on how good or bad your Saturday's going, right? I mean, I like to see some bad. You can't all your practices be good. That means you're missing something, right?
That's exactly right.
No,
some of the worst Sunday practices, you play the best of the event. So usually tends to work that way. So you want to get dunked on some. You can't win every point,
Right.
Yeah. So Saturday morning, I think, is that where you're developing your playbooks, or are you saying
I'm trying to get it started for sure? Yeah.
Yeah. So now we're in like our play development process where we're running plays kind of, in sets of 3 to 5 and trying to find different holes and those kind of things.
Holes in each
This
play.
is exactly kind of what Mike and I were talking about earlier, like running that same play multiple times, even in a row, a lot of times is really important, because not only does it kind of dial your guys more in, but it also then you can see how to beat it, because as the other team makes adjustments to it,
Right.
you're getting both sets of information, right? Like we were kind of talking through this again in the green room, but you see a lot of coaches, they'll run a play and then they'll change it, run another play, change it, run another play, and then they want to come back to that first one and get the guys like re-engaged on what they did 5-6 points ago, which is a little more difficult. If you just run the thing 4 or 5 times in a row, and then you run this thing 4 or 5 times in a row, and then you run this thing 4 or 5 times in a row, you can make those simple adjustments to the same play that you've run over and over again. And it keeps the guys kind of focused, right? Centric on, this is the thing we're working on right now. And then we'll shift gears in the next one, right?
I mean,
Whether it's a Dorito push.
You have to give them time to master the play. If you're steadily mixing and mixing, they're not going to master it. But if you run that same play 15 points in a row, they're going to know what to do, right? And then it's easier to make an adjustment from it that way.
How many points do you play in a day?
A lot.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, because when you said 15 points, I'm like,
you got 11 guys.
Yeah, that's a valid point. You do have 11, right?
I mean, we're usually shooting paint by 8:30, and usually 4:30 in the afternoon. So we run, play a lot of points, shoot a lot of paint.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to. We don't practice that. We don't practice every week. So when it's go time, we got to get it in, as many as we can.
Okay. Well, that practice schedule, or rather that emphasis on, hey, getting it in, I think that's is going to help you, especially looking at the healthy bracket. I think we're seeing energy in that. In my opinion, that bracket is, woo. So,
a little tough.
Yeah. It's bracket B, correct?
It's bracket B.
Yeah.
So, and honestly, Pops,
got
you
the
guys
world champs in there.
And you guys make this bracket, right? To be honest, how you guys show up to this event and how well you play or don't is literally going to make or break this bracket. And what I mean by that is this could be the most challenging bracket in the tournament.
Sure.
If you guys show up and play really well. right?
Yeah, you get through this bracket, you can play on Sunday.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I mean,
Oh, yeah.
X Factor, Paintball Fit, the New Orleans Hurricanes, and Tauntauns FSU, and you guys all in bracket B, right?
Mm-hmm.
And again, there's 2 question marks here. You guys are 1, and the Tauntauns are 1, right? Because we don't know if we have the same Tauntauns that showed up to play World Cup. We'll see, right? And then you guys, because you're newly formed and we don't, there's just not a lot of data on you yet. It's kind of a question mark either way. So kind of understanding for Tampa that that's your bracket. What's the goal for event 1? Like, what is expectation? So what's your first goal, second goal, kind of third goal? What's that progression look like for you?
Yeah. I mean, if you want an honest,
of course. Yeah.
If you want an honest goal, yeah, then it's get past first round of Sunday. Because I've already been to enough first rounds of Sunday. Okay. I want to get past the first round.
That's your goal for event 1.
Get past that and see what happens. Yeah.
That's your first goal for event 1?
Yeah.
So you're Sunday. You're Sunday bound. You're good
damn
to go.
right. I'm Sunday. Yeah.
Okay.
Sunday paintball, man.
So you want to be in the top 8?
Yeah, all day long.
Okay.
Top 8. Got it. I like it.
No, if I go 2-2 and go home, I mean that's crap, right? I've had enough of those. It's time we go a little deeper. And we got the guys to do it. So I don't care who we're playing. It's whatever. You look on paper, nobody's talking about us, right? That's fine. I don't care. So the pressure's on everybody else.
Well, nobody knows you guys yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Nobody,
right.
You know what I mean? Like, we kind of we had this conversation with the coach from PB Mob. It's like, we want a reason to talk about you, but we don't know yet. Right? Like there's not enough information. And that's one of the reasons we really wanted to have you on kind of right before the event, is to learn a little bit about kind of you guys, the camp. And we also know that there's been, like, you guys have been kind of structuring for a little while, right? And we wanted to let things settle, let you get through a few practices and see what your assets look like before we had you on.
Right.
And now you've had a couple of opportunities to do that. And I think if you're the coach, right, if you can see in that group that, hey, I've got a top 8 group here, then maybe your goals and expectations are appropriate, right?
Yeah. I mean, look, every year I learn a little more. Every year the guys have a whole nother season under their belts. So for me, it gets easier. To me, it's easier to coach a pro team than to go down and coach a D4 team, because they really don't know what they're doing. At least I've got, a roster full of players that know how to play the game, who can help, break things down, even help put things on paper. Because I've got a lot of honest players. I don't have a guy that says, Pops, man, I can hit that, snake 3 off to break every point, and he can't. I don't have those problems. It's a lot of honesty there, and that just makes it way easier.
Yeah, but I think we all agree that the emphasis in D4 is completely different from this. A lot of the emphasis is we're emphasize anyway that we're going to put in the pro division. But I certainly hear what you're saying. What I also like about this is you're in a very advantageous position because people don't have a lot of data on you. Sure, well, they have individual data, right?
Mm-hmm.
And certain assumptions can be made, but assumptions are the mother of all mess ups.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I think you're in a really good position to really surprise some people, because people don't know what you're bringing to the table yet. Exactly.
Right. Yeah. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
All right.
That's it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, again, one of the reasons we always ask coaches when they come on, like, hey, what's the goal? What's the expectation? Is we want to have something fun to talk about.
Right.
But it's cool too, like when it comes to fruition, right? Like it's always neat when you see a coach come on and talk about process and talk about what they're doing, and you can kind of see their vision, and then they go out and execute it. And then it happens the way they think it's going to happen. And then we have them back on the show, and then we reinforce, that process that they described the first time they were on. Because the first time we have a coach on and they talk about it, people aren't buying what you're selling yet, right? Things work well and they go the right way, which again, your process for how you prepare for the tournaments is, I mean, that's really kind of what everybody does, right? It's become pretty, with the exception of the team I'm coaching now, their process is completely different because we get to play every single day. We play paintball every day. So it's a little bit different. We don't play for 8 hours. We're going to go out and they're going to play for 3 to 4 hours. They're going to shoot 15 to 20 cases of paint. We're out of there.
Right.
And then we're going to come back the next day.
Goal, though. There's a specific goal
every day,
each day, though. Yeah.
Every day has a couple of metrics in it that we're going to hit and before we go home, and then we're done. And then we move on. So, yeah, it's interesting. So, goal for first event, make it past the first round of Sunday.
Correct.
So, what about the rest of the year? So let's go back really quick first. Let's talk about NRG from the past. So in 2023, the team finished 14th place. In 2022, we finished 17th place. In 2021, we finished 13th place. And in the COVID year with two tournaments, which was their first year pro, they finished 16th.
Right.
So what is the expectation for the year?
I mean, I don't see why we can't be above top 10, top 18.
Okay.
So the expectation for the year and the goal is to be a top 8 team in the professional division, with the goal setting the pace at event 1 with a top 8 finish.
Correct.
Which is really important. Like if you want to be in the top 8, that first event,
you got to have that right. Yeah.
Yeah, that first event is really, really important. I mean, you come out and you're in tier 4, tier 5 after the first event is a struggle.
Yeah, I mean, it's everybody wants to win the event, right? Well, I haven't won one yet. It's kind of hard to say, hey, my number one goal, coming out the first event is to win. Sure, that's the plan, right?
Yeah.
But if you're going to be realistic, hey, then let's at least get past the first round and take it from there.
Yeah.
I've won a couple and gotten a few seconds, and it's I'll be honest, it's just as difficult to win the event as it is to get 20th. The work is the same.
Right.
It's so hard. And especially now, you mentioned this kind of before, like it is so hard to win now. Maybe it's not, I shouldn't say it's harder to win now, but the league, everybody is so good. All the teams now are so good.
Yeah, the skill levels are, every team has players with a high, level. You know what I mean? So
absolutely,
it's not like it was 10 years ago when, you could look at matches and you could really pick who was going to win what, right? You can't do that now. There's nobody there you can't sleep on anyone, right? Or they'll get you. That's just how it is. Look.
Paintball Fit proved it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They proved it.
Yeah, that was cool. It's fun. I was happy for them. I thought it was pretty awesome to watch. Right.
Anybody who wasn't happy for them isn't a fan of paintball.
Right.
Anybody who didn't think that story was amazing doesn't like paintball.
Yeah.
Or you're just such a huge Edmonton Impact fan that you can't see past that.
Yeah, you're just blind. You're just blind. That or you like to kill small animals when people aren't looking and no one likes you.
Oh my God.
Right. Yeah. No,
you like to kick puppies.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a puppy kicker. I'm telling you, it's a puppy kicker.
Right. You got to have a little luck on your side, right?
Totally.
Got to have a little bit of luck. You got to hope a bracket favors you just a pinch, maybe, to get over that hump. There's just so many different variables, and then trying to be perfect, every match is super hard because, like you said, all the teams are good. You don't. Yeah, there's some blowouts out there once in a while, but a lot of matches are close,
More and more teams are recognizing what's required in order to be successful. And it's a lot of hard work. It's trying to outwork. Like if you sit there and say, okay, we're practicing 3 days a week, the team that's practicing 4 is doing what's necessary to be successful. The teams that are practicing 4 days a week, The teams that are practicing 5 days a week are the ones that are doing what's necessary to be successful. So,
Right. Sure.
Yeah, it's not a coincidence that 2 of the 3 teams that won tournaments last year play paintball a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just.
Yeah, because years past, the high level pro teams, I mean, they got together like 2 days before the event, practiced a little, show up to the event, and they're basically practicing the first match on Friday. They're still learning the layout, but they had so much talent they could get away with it. Well, those days are gone. They can't do that anymore because of teams like Fit and other teams who are grinding every single weekend. And after a few years of that, now their levels up there, and it shows.
Yeah. Excellent.
I was going to say, Mike mentioned there's some luck involved. The very first pro tournament I ever won was in 2007, and the Russians got knocked out in the quarterfinals. Mm-hmm. And I was standing there with Alex Martinez, and I knew our group was playing really, really well with X Factor. And I looked at him and I was like, this might be the one, right? Because they had kind of been our Achilles heel a bit. Mm-hmm. Like we would bump into them on Sunday. We'd gotten, I think, third the event before, and they were the ones that beat us. They had been kind of our Achilles, and we were able to, they got knocked out. And so now they're kind of out of our way. And I looked at Alex Martinez and I said, this may be the one. Like, the stars may be aligning here, right? But everything else, like the paint was really good. The guys were in tempo. They were in kind of that flow state. And fortunately, we did end up winning the tournament. But there was some luck that had to occur, for them getting, and maybe we beat them. I don't know. But I do think that the guys had a little bit of a mental block, with that group. Like when they saw them ahead of them, and that's what was coming. I think there was a little bit of a challenge there for them to get, but then we show up at the next event now that they've won one, and we beat the Russians. We beat them in the preliminary round. So anyway, it does take a little bit of luck, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of things have to go your way. The reffing has to be really good. You can't get any bad calls. Those kind of things all have to fall in place. So if you control all the things you can control and the outcome is not what you want, you can still walk away kind of okay as long as you did all the right things.
Sure.
Yeah.
Excellent.
All right. Well, I got one more question that's one of my favorites. What's your favorite drill? And what is it? How does it work? What does it look like?
I don't know if I per se have a favorite drill, honestly. Because like I said, the guys do most of the drilling. But I do like running somebody hard into snake one a lot. So on the other side, we can see if we're hitting him, just to work them really good. See if we're getting those shots on them.
So a laning drill?
Yeah, lane drills off the break shooting. Yeah, with a couple runners.
Okay.
All right. Mike, you got anything else?
This has been incredibly insightful for me, Chris. It's a pleasure to meet you virtually. I'll see you in Tampa, of course. And
sure, hey, you too.
I think this has been great for people to get to know you and understand what you're bringing to the table for NRG, right? And of course, your roster. You've got some great players on that team. Mm-hmm. It's going to be, you got a tough bracket. It should be some great matches. But no, I think
it'll be fun. Yeah, I'm excited. I wish we were playing tomorrow.
I don't know that any of the brackets aren't tough.
I agree.
Yeah.
I don't know that any of the brackets, our next week's show, we have Shane Pastana and Kevin on SK, and we kind of do our picks. And this earlier in the week, we split up the brackets, talked about who was talking about which bracket. Right. And I kind of went through them all, and I was like, okay, these are all hard. They're all tough. Like, it doesn't matter which bracket you're in.
It's nothing easy. No.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough weekend. And again, that's the beauty of our game right now is there's a lot of question marks that we didn't have last year. Mm-hmm. with the mix up of you guys, and then you have Sea Dogs and Leverage coming in. NYX is kind of a question mark too, because they're, lost a bunch of guys, picked up a bunch of guys. So there's a question mark there. So there's
basically ML Kings with some new players.
Right.
So there's like some ambiguity around the league that we really didn't have last year. Like when you have Fit and Blast Camp coming in, who had done what they had done in semi-pro. I mean, I think people who knew paintball knew that those two teams were going to come in and be competitive. They were going to be good, right? Sure. It's always tough, but I think everybody felt like they were going to be pretty tough, and they were. They were good teams. So, and are good teams.
Right.
It's sad that that Blast Camp went away, but it's sports, man. That's the way it works, especially a sport like ours where it's just so incredibly expensive. And if we don't have kick-ass owners, who really love and care about paintball.
But they could come back next year. You have to wait and see, right?
Oh my
it's
gosh.
happened before.
I mean, just happened, right?
Yeah.
Just happened just now. So, well, Chris, thank you so much for spending your evening with us. And I do want to tell the listeners, Mike is on about 20 minutes of sleep. That's why we're running a little bit short tonight. So we appreciate the grace on that. And hopefully you guys have enjoyed this and gotten something out of it. I did see a few things in the chat. Across the board, players have elevated. Yep. Yep. Nothing that's too sticking out there. No questions. All right. Pops. Can't wait to shake your hand when we see you in Tampa.
Yes, sir. Sounds good. Appreciate it.
Excellent. Thank you,
Have a good
sir.
day.
Yep. Be good.
See you, buddy. All right. That was fun.
All right. That was. And I'm so glad I did not give myself whiplash because Chris made it such a compelling thing to listen to. He was talking and everything he was saying, I was hanging on. So I wasn't doing one of these, because ladies and gentlemen, I'm spent. So just to give a little background. So I was supposed to be back in my hometown of Birmingham last night. Instead, I ended up 16 and a half hours later, getting in this morning at 8:30 and then having to go to work. So I didn't get any sleep. And so I'm going on. Woo! Yeah.
What airline did you fly?
You gotta do this to me, don't you? You just said so. Everyone, Ryan was right. He's warned me about this airline. This airline has actually it's tagged me 2 or 3 times now. So anyway, all right, you got me.
Who is it? Tell them.
It was American. It was American Airlines. Everyone, and it was
Stay
bad.
away.
And it wasn't. They didn't even. It's not like, hey, we can't get you to. It was like, hey, we're going to throw you way across the country and then send you back on the red eye. And it was bad. Wasn't even close to where I anyway.
Yeah, my days with American are over. So they're over.
Man.
Terrible.
Good episode. Good episode.
Guys.
I appreciate Chris doing that for us. Excellent. Hopefully everyone knows a little bit more.
Hey, again, to touch on it again, if you're a videographer and you can help us with a new intro, outro video, we would love to talk to you. Please send me a message on social media, or you can send me an email at ryan@thecoachesshow.live. Again, we are working on upcoming coaches clinics for 2025. We are thinking Cleveland and Texas.
So events
we'll let you guys know. Yep, events 3 and 4, and then possibly World Cup. There'll be we're going to have a price change this year. It's going to go down a little bit because we want players to also be able to participate, not just coaches. So the price is actually going to go down a little bit to encourage hopefully more people to participate. And again, I think for 2 hours, we may have been a little bit pricey, but I don't know. We get a lot of great feedback on them. So
yeah,
I don't know. But the one we just did at BKI ended up being like 5.5, 6 hours long. And
6
it was
hours.
awesome. And we got lots of great conversation in. And so a little bit longer ones might be better. Also, I have been thinking about Mike and I maybe doing something more regional based, like maybe doing one in Texas away from an event, but doing one in Texas, doing one in Florida, doing one kind of in the Northeast. doing one in North Central. Anyway, kind of just doing them away from events. That way you guys don't have to necessarily fly into an event. We can come to your region, set up and do it, maybe even a hotel or something. If you guys are interested in that, let us know in the comments. We'll start thinking about setting some stuff like that up. What price will it go? What price will go down? The price on the coaches clinic will go down.
I was just typing back to respond to Doggy there. So
yeah. All right. The price
All
on the
right.
coaches clinic.
Yep.
All right, guys. This episode has been brought to you by Max Sportswear. If you're playing the NXL or regional league, contact Charles today for contingency pricing. Contingency details. If you want to elevate your game, join BKI. The new platform and content is on the way. Use code COACHSHOW. Thank you to Coach Chris Robbins for joining us tonight. Thank you to Major League Paintball, Darren Cessna, Kevin Fillers, Alex Sorensen, and Tom Cole. I'm Ryan Gray with Mike Bianca. As always, be responsible.
Good night.